That's okay. That's perfect. Okay, so do we have, okay, we have the recording going. So
Yep.
that's good. We can get this thing up and running. On your guys' screen, you're seeing our Canvas page. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure it's working. Like I said, I'm a little rusty on Zoom here. Um, so I should have folks that are in the various class sections, and I should have folks that are maybe on the wait list for automotive or for welding. And my goal is to try to add the people in as I can, but I'll have to figure that out kind of after class and see about getting permission numbers and stuff put out. What was really interesting this semester is that the automotive section was totally full. There was people on the wait list. Um, but that's not all the sections are that full. And so I'm in a situation where I can't, normally with this class, as you add students, they basically, they can take it and they basically give you more funding to support those students. And I'm at my max. So basically like if, let's say there's not the welding part's not fully enrolled, well, then I can over enroll the auto. It's a weird thing that I'm doing, but I'm having to like mix and match to kind of even out the numbers to make sure that folks who want to get in have a spot. Let me tell you about this class. I'm sure a lot of you guys, actually, how many of you guys have done this class before? Maybe do what is there, like a thumbs up thing you can do on here? Seems like there was.
You can do reactions.
Reactions, yeah. So if
Yeah.
you've done the class before, you probably know what's going on and what's happening, right? So how many of you guys have done this class before?
This is my first time.
Yeah,
Okay.
first time as
Yeah,
well.
first
too.
time.
All right, okay.
Uh,
First time.
Yeah.
First
Okay,
time.
sweet. All right. Well, good. Then you won't know if I'm doing it wrong. No. So let me tell you about who I am and
You're a teacher.
who I am and what's going on with the class and then how I ended up teaching it. Um, I'm the department chair for automotive, and I teach a whole bunch of automotive classes. And I actually used to teach this class way back. I looked through my like old rosters, and back in 2008, 2009, I was teaching this class. So a bunch of years ago, I taught this class. I did not realize it was that long ago. And back when I taught it before, everything was like paper forms and carbon copies, and basically this class is here to give you college credits for what you're doing at work. Um, and it can work twofold. Like back when I was teaching the class in 2008, 2009, I don't know if any of you guys remember or were around but there was a huge recession. And so during that period of time, like there wasn't a lot of jobs, and how I got my automotive students jobs out in industry is I had them do an unpaid internship. And then they were able to get the school credits for the internship. The internship, was covered under like the school's insurance. So the employer could kind of test them out, and a lot of them, because they ended up being pretty good, they would end up getting hired by that business or sometimes by another business, because now they had some real world shop experience. So back in the recession, it was like the only way we were getting students placed out in industry was through the work experience class. And so that's back when I was teaching it. Um, Nowadays, after COVID and everything, we have a lot of this stuff that's all set up online, and probably the majority of you guys already have a job site you're working. And so that's what I said when I mean like you could get college credit for what you're doing at work. But the idea is, oop, I got 4 people in the waiting room. Let me get that going. Invite, let's see. Nope, doing that wrong. Sorry.
I actually just got a job because of the unpaid internship form.
Really? Okay, cool. Admit, oh, there we go.
I just emailed you it actually.
Yeah, and I just signed something for you just a little bit ago. So, um, anyways, so now we can do a lot of these forms online, and we're going to track the forms through Canvas. But getting back to what the class is about, you can get college credit for what you're doing at work. But I also think if you're already at a job site, this class can help you kind of expand what you're doing at your job site. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're working in an auto shop, but all you're getting to do is change oil. You know, you're paid, you're working lube rack. In the class, you're going to have to set 3 goals of things that you want to improve on and maybe learn and grow in at work. So you can kind of use this class as leverage of, hey, I really want to work with, a master tech, or I want to try some different tasks at work to expand my knowledge set and my skill set. And in the class, you have to set those goals, and then your employer is going to have to sign off on them. So I felt like the course always gave you a little bit of leverage to say, "Hey, boss, I'm supposed to be learning these other tasks. I'm supposed to be, doing more than oil changes. I'm supposed to be doing some, brakes or some suspension jobs or something like that." If you're working at like a machine shop, maybe you're going from, well, I was supposed to be doing I'm just doing like cleaning the parts, but I want to start working on cylinder heads or whatever it is. Um, so with this class, it's kind of a unique one because even though I'm your instructor, I'm really more of a facilitator of tracking all the relative paperwork so that you can get credit for what you're doing at your various job sites. So let's just cruise Canvas a little bit. I'll put class announcements will be on the top of the screen, recent announcements. But if you click this thing, if you haven't looked at it in a while, they'll be in there. Um, Assignments, we'll see what do we have up. Oh, just this, read the syllabus agreement assignment. Um, and you can go straight to it. And this is just, I want you to read through the syllabus, which I'm going to basically talk about it um, as well. But at the end, you're going to basically copy this and fill in the blanks and then submit it. And so I know that you've read the syllabus. And over time, I'll get the other assignments set up for you to submit things. And that's namely your paperwork. So it's a lot of maneuvering around. So here's all our basic stuff in the class, and you can see that syllabus assignment right there. I have a driving directions one. I'll have you do a resume. But beyond those few things and filling out these required forms, I'm not going to kill you with a bunch of extra work. Okay. Um, and our Zoom sessions, they're just there to kind of make sure that everybody's following along and we're getting track of you. Once we kind of get you guys all out, you've got your paperwork signed and submitted back to me, and you're at your job sites, I'll probably just do a discussion page that you can check in because I have to have some way to check attendance to make sure everybody's still moving through. So I'm going to try really hard to make this as painless as possible for you guys. Hey, quick reminder, if some of you guys joined a few minutes later, which is fine. I know I had some technical difficulties getting everything started. Uh, what I'm asking folks to do is type their name in the chat and then what section are they in? Are they in the ACT, like the collision, or are they in the welding or the automotive or the diesel? Okay, so that way I can use the chat as like a roll sheet, and then I can figure out my adds and drops and all that stuff. So, all right. I gotta running out of screen surface here. So this part right here, it says required title form, 5 forms needed for credit, and it says first submission documents. These, first basically 6 things here are what I need you guys basically to start getting completed and filled out so we can start, tracking your stuff and getting you credit. Okay. Now you can choose to print these things out. So let me just click one. Like, so here's your spring application, and you can download it, and it's a PDF, and I'm getting that going on right now. And let me change my screen share here. Let me change my screen share so you guys can see this. So hang on a second. There it is, share. All right, so you guys should be seeing the work experience application. Um, so this form is fillable. You can fill this all out. You can save it, and then you'll end up submitting it back to me. What I need to do though is I got to make all the assignments, and so you might be thinking to yourself, boy, what's going on with Mr. French here? He's lagging. The stuff's not set up. Well, it's my first time teaching this class in a long time. And, in the past, it wasn't online. And we just moved into a new auto shop. So I know a lot of you guys are taking classes in automotive or welding on the main campus. And it has just been a ridiculous amount of work. Um, Getting everything moved from one shop to the other. I mean, we're still working away on it, and we're here, almost done with the first week of school. So I'm a little bit behind, but what I'll do is I'll set up an assignment where there's a spot for you to submit this particular form. And so that one's fillable. You can digitally fill it out and submit it once I get the submission part working. Let me close this out. I'll change my screen share back to, back to this. Let's see. I will go back to this one. Okay, cool. Just making sure the screen share is working. All right. So before, it's not as important if you're working at a paid job site, okay? But if you're working at an unpaid job site, if you wanted to do actually an unpaid internship, then you have to get these documents completed before you start working. Because essentially, if you're doing an internship, I'm going to cover you under the school's insurance, right? But your insurance coverage doesn't start until you get all the forms filled out and we get them submitted. Okay, so I will work on the submission stuff and make sure by this weekend I got all the stuff where you guys can submit all your forms. Um, uh, if you're working at a paid site, it's not as big of a deal, but what we're going to want to do for you to get credit for what you're doing at work is to get these forms submitted, and then we're going to start keeping track of your hours and all that stuff. So we got the work experience application, we got this letter of cooperation, and this is one that just is letting your employer, right, letting your boss know that, hey, this is, I want to use what I'm doing here for work experience credit. This name right here, Vivian Dillon, she is the head work experience instructor for American River College. So that's why her name and phone number is on there, because she's the head work experience coordinator. Um, but anyways, so that's a letter of cooperation. I'll go back and we'll just keep going through these. Agreement to participate. So this is like your waiver, like you would do in a normal automotive class or collision. I'm sure you guys do the same waiver, and I would think welding would too. Like this is pretty standard for the district. Like before you do a class, this is your waiver that you fill out to participate. So that's why that's in the required forms. And I know that the hardest thing about this class is getting all these stupid forms filled out and submitted. So then you have a couple forms that only apply under certain situations. So like number 4 here, this is only if you're going to do an unpaid internship. Okay, so if you're working at a paid job site, you don't have to worry about this one. Okay, but if you're going to do an unpaid internship, then yes, you would need to complete this form here. And again, this is important because it's like it starts your insurance coverage. All right. So then we go to 5. So this one, again, it depends on where you're at. We've actually had some students take the class and they're like, oh, well, I own my own automotive shop. And it seems like, how would that work? Well, they actually have a form for that. So if you were self-employed, you get someone else to evaluate you and say, yep, they're working. I mean, it seems a little silly, but that's essentially what it is. Um, so you're probably, probably most of you guys aren't going to have to worry about number five, but number six is a is one that you want to uh, do. And this is one that I recommend you do this with your, if you have another technician you work with who maybe is like a mentor tech or somebody who's more experienced, um, or even if they're just as experienced, but they do different jobs, right? If you do mostly I'm going to use cars for all my examples because that's my wheelhouse, right? But let's say you're doing front end and brakes work, but you really want to improve your diagnostic skills. Maybe you sit down with the diagnostic guy. So you set three learning objectives and what is the test to be completed, and you could fudge this a little bit. You could pick one of them as something that maybe you're already doing quite a bit already, right? So you don't need to kill yourself, but the other two I would save them for something that you want to get better on, or better doing at your job site. And so make the second and third one stretch yourself a little bit. Now, with the three learning objectives, the one caveat to that is if you're only going to take this class and try to receive only like one unit of credit, you don't have to do all three. I would only do two. But if you're going to do 3 or 4 units of college credit for work experience, then you need to do all three. You need to set three different learning objectives. Okay. Which brings me to the logistics of, well, how does all that work? Like the hours of the class versus the uh, versus how many units and all that stuff. Um, we have a chart here that basically uh, shows you, let's see, how many hours work experience. Oh, I might actually put it in the syllabus too. I was just working on this part, so let me get back there. The syllabus, yeah, it's on the syllabus. Oops, not the syllabus agreement, but the syllabus. All right, there it is. Okay, and let's see here. Okay, so hey, on the syllabus, I have here's my contact information. I'm office 237 in the new
The new building.
CTE area. And my office phone number. I don't have a phone in here yet, but that's supposed to be my office number. So I guess I'll get that going here pretty soon. Uh, anyways, if I scroll down through this thing, it'll talk about here it is, registration and units. So um, basically, you're going to keep track of your hours during the semester, and you get 75 hours per unit. Now, I know this is kind of weird because um, you signed up for X number of units at the beginning when you took the class, right? So you might have signed up for 4 units, you might have signed up for one, you might have signed up for three, whatever. Well, what this means is if, let's say you signed up only for 1 unit, you only have to, work and keep track of 75 hours. Okay. If you're at a paid spot. Now, if you're doing an unpaid internship, you would only need to track 60 hours. Um, but if you signed up for 4 units, well, then you're going to have to take this number and multiply it by four, right? So, um, one of the things that happens at the end of the class is there's going to be a form that you turn in, and this is all my work hours, right? And it's got to add up so that if you signed up for 4 units, you have at least that many hours so I can give you 4 units of the class. If you only sign up for one unit, well, then you're only going to need to, turn in 75 hours or 60 hours if it's unpaid. And that's why I said, if you're only doing one unit, you don't need to set three goals because heck, you're really having to do 60 hours. So there's a relationship between how many hours you work at the job site and how many units of the class. I have had the situation in the past, and of course this is years ago, but where I had a student that their job site, like one thing or another fell apart, and they signed up for 4 units and they didn't have the units required. And what we ended up doing, rather than have them fail the 4 unit class, we adjusted it down so that they passed the class, but they only received 3 units instead of four because they had only completed enough hours for 3 units. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that you guys realize that there's a correlation between the units you work and I'm sorry, the hours that you work and how many units you can receive from the class. Okay. So this part right here in the syllabus, the registration and units is super important. Um, and then I got a chart here that, breaks it down. So, all right, that's what I was thinking of in the other page. Speaking about the hours and all that stuff, I didn't put it at the beginning because it's not one of the forms that I have to have you fill out right away. But by the end of the semester, you'll see there's this thing that says timesheet spring 2025. This is what I'm talking about. This is the form that you're going to fill out to complete your hours. Okay. And it's a little bit clunky. All these forms are kind of weird. Honestly, what's funny is they're digital copies of the exact paper forms I used to use way back in 2008. It's just that was a paper form that had carbon copies, and this is digital, but it's the same clunky form. And the reason the form hasn't changed in all that time is because all these things have to be approved by the state. So the thing that's the biggest pain about this class is getting all these forms filled out. And I know what you'll be asking yourself. You'll be thinking like, why is this such a pain? Why is there so many forms? Well, we're trying to give you college units for what you're doing at your job site, and to make that work within the college system, there's a lot of red tape you got to cut through, and that is namely these forms. Okay. So my biggest job for you guys in this class is facilitating you getting all these forms filled out and turned in. The other thing I'm going to look to do in this class is at some point visit each one of your job sites. So at some point I'll set up an activity where you tell me, hey, what's your basic work schedule so I can try to show up at your work site when you're there and just pop in and see you and see what's going on. And you can give me a quick tour, and then I can, say hi to your manager or supervisor or whoever's helping you fill out these forms and get out of your hair just to facilitate that. Yes, this student really is working at a job site and everything's, working okay.
Hey, Mr. French.
Yeah.
So I work full time and I go to school full time. So
Okay.
I work 40 hours a week. What happens when I reach the cap?
It doesn't matter. You can, because you're working a real job, you're getting paid, right? You're not just
Uh-huh.
doing an internship. You can work more than those hours. You just have to submit enough hours to receive however many units you signed up for. So if you
Mm-hmm.
signed up for 4 units, you just need to, get that total amount of hours. Let's see if I can get the math going. 4 times 75. Oops.
When you're done, Mr. French, I have a question for you, sir.
Okay.
My job, my unpaid internship, I'm not scheduled. Basically, the way it works with them is I come in whenever I want and leave. I'm
Huh?
actually the the manager of the store is actually the person who is helping me. And how does that work then? Like it says it wants your work schedule. I don't have a designated day or hours. It's basically whenever I want to go in, I can go in.
Okay, well, what I think what you'll do over time though is you'll probably figure out what are the normal times that you want to go over to that job site, right?
Yeah.
So you work with your internship site and figure out like what is the best time for you to get over there and what do you think your approximate schedule will be. And I'll set up a thing where you can tell me what your schedule is so that later on in the semester, I'll go and do job site visitations. Now, speaking about those visitations, I don't want to blow you guys up. I won't get to your job sites probably till like April because what I have to do is I'm still trying to put this auto shop together, and that's taken every bit of my energy every day. And I figure it'll take me 3 or 4 weeks to get that going. I might be able to visit a few job sites. Second 5 weeks, the middle of the semester, I'm teaching back-to-back classes, and I know I'm not going to be able to really visit you guys during that time. I'll just be too loaded up here at the school. But my third 5 weeks, I'm only teaching at night, and so then whoever I haven't visited, I'll be trying to get all my visitations done probably in April. So it'll be a little bit before I get out to everybody's job sites, right? So to try to wrap up our meeting here, and I know some of you guys, if you have classes at 6, it's 6:03. You can log off. What I will do is I'll put an announcement on Canvas, and you look at the next announcement, and there'll be a YouTube link. So if you leave class, you leave the session early, you'll be able to like watch the rest of it to make sure you didn't miss anything. I'll set up like a private link there on YouTube later on, okay? Because I don't want to hold you guys up if you're in 6 p.m. classes somewhere else. All right. If I want to say one or two folks just entered into our Zoom late, that's fine. What I need you to do is type your name and then what section of the class are you in, or maybe you're on a wait list trying to get into the automotive section, the collision, the welding, or the diesel. So I can use the chat log as a record of who was here. Okay, I'm going to use that to figure out all my adds and drops. Okay, so back to modules and back to these forms. I have our basic class information, our syllabus and stuff for you. You'll see some of the stuff on Handshake. There's a job placement program in the Career Center towards the front of the campus. That's what that handshake is about. It helps you out with job leads, some basic stuff about the work experience. But I have my syllabus and our syllabus assignment there. I put some resources here for how to fill out the forms digitally. And so that's what's going on there. And then it's all the forms. All right, let's see. We got the annotations going. All right. So thank you for doing that because I forgot about how I'm kind of Zoom rusty. I forgot that Zoom has that feature. I used to do that all the time. I was like, oh, that's right. So we've been burning through these forms. So your first step in this class, let's kind of like wrap this up. Your first step is to one, we'll get you enrolled if you're not enrolled. Two, find a job site. And so, unfortunately, with my crazy schedule, like I don't have all the job sites and stuff lined up. So you're going to have to kind of beat the street, so to speak, if you don't have a job site and go track one down. So like Colby, it sounds like you did that. You found an internship site, and that's awesome. So your second task is find a job site, which is easy if you're already working somewhere, right? So once you find a job site, then your third task is getting all these darn forms filled out. And it's these first 6 forms right here. This first section are the ones you have to worry about. Now, remember, some of them may not apply to you because Like this one's only if you're unpaid. If you're a paid employee, you don't need to do number 4. If you're not self-employed, well, then you don't have to do number 5. But it's this first group of forms you want to start getting those guys filled out. And you can either fill them out digitally, but you could also print them out and just fill them out by hand and then scan them in and send them back to me. And actually, I'm going to talk to my tool room guys here in the automotive department, so that if you have paper forms and you're like, I don't have a way to scan them, I'm going to set it up so that they can help scan some of your forms and stuff so that you can get them submitted back to me. So anyways, um, these forms are kind of like your first thing that you got to, get yourself enrolled, find a job site, and get these first 6 forms going. Um, and what I will do in the next few days is set up a spot here on Canvas. Basically, it'll be an assignment where you submit the different forms. Okay. And filling out the darn forms is the hardest thing about this class. All right, let me clear my squiggles off of there. Let's see. I will erase these and we'll scroll down. Once you've identified a job site, then you can worry about setting the learning objectives, right? But if you get the the application, the letter of cooperation, and the waiver, those are the 3 super critical ones. In fact, I will try to circle those. I just took it away. So those first 3 are super critical ones, and then you can worry about the learning objectives. And I think that's probably a pretty good place to leave it for tonight. Start working through those, and that'll get you kind of going. Again, overall for the class, your biggest assignment is going to be filling out these forms, keeping track of your hours. It's really about giving you credit for what you're doing at work. Now, remember the different learning goals and objectives, those are things you would set at your job site. Those are things that you would like to get better at work. And it could be simple things. It could be changing oil. It could be doing, it could be just grinding parts and prepping them for welding if you're one of my welding experience students, right? They're individual to everybody and your job site and experience level, but you want to set some goals, track your hours. I will at some point have an assignment where you either submit your resume if you've already made one, or it's a way to kind of force you to make a resume if you've never made one, because it's always good to have a resume. And I know a lot of folks will probably already have a resume, but as you get more skills at work, well, then you can add to that resume, right? You're gaining work experience. So at some point, I'll have you submit a resume, you'll fill out these forms, and that'll be the majority of things that you have to do. My goal, again, is to not kill you with too much information, too much stuff, too many tasks that you have to do. We will do a Zoom session at the same time next week. And just like I'm recording this one right now, I'll record that one as well, so that if you have a conflict and can't attend the full thing or whatever, that you can watch it later. And next week, I'll be going over like these forms. How do you submit them? Right. So I've showed them to you. You can see now where you can download them and how you can fill them out. And again, you could just print them if you want to do that. But next week, I'll have spots set up in Canvas here where you can actually submit those forms and get that moving forward. And then, like I said, once we get past the first few weeks of school and you guys are at your job sites and you're all kind of dialed in, at that point, we'll probably just use discussions on Canvas where you can check in, and write, your name and this is something I did at work this week or something. That way I have some way to track your attendance, but you don't have to worry about, sitting through a boring Zoom session with Mr. French. So, how does all that sound to you guys? Do you have any questions on anything?
No.
Anybody have questions? You can turn
I
your
I have a
mic
question.
on, or you could use the chat. I'll try to get the chat thing going.
Yep. I'm not in the wait list right now, or I'm on the wait list right now.
Okay.
We don't have access to the Canvas.
Oh,
So
you
do
are
you
correct.
do
You
you
are
want us
correct.
to still fill them out, or you want to wait till we're actually in the class before we fill them out?
Yeah,
Professor and me, wait
we're gonna have
list.
to get you in the class. So, all right. So let's do this. I got my roster. What I'm gonna do after I conclude the Zoom is go through this chat list, and I have your school emails and stuff because you're in the system on the wait list,
Hmm.
and I'll be emailing out permission numbers.
Okay.
Then what will happen is tonight the system will update itself and you should pop on Canvas tomorrow. Now, I will say uh, that make sure if you're paying for your classes, once you get enrolled, you generally have like 24 hours to pay for your classes. And I've made that mistake myself, signing up for things, and I sign up and then I forget to pay, and then I'm kicked out again. So if we get you added in tonight, it'll update in there tomorrow. Just don't forget to pay your fees or whatever you got to do, um, so that you don't get dropped and we got to go through the process of adding you again.
Okay.
Once you
Cool.
get on Canvas, then you'll be able to do all this stuff. And again, we'll meet again next week, and I'll show you how to submit those different forms.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Good question. Just by eyeballing the roster of who was here and who's not, like I had some sections of the class that were like crazy full, and it doesn't look like I have that many on here. So I would say I'm going to be able to add all the folks into their various sections. So, anyways, and it's great to see some of the names out there, like Terry. It's good to have you here, and Raul and Jesse was here earlier. So, and Colby, thank you for being here. So I appreciate you guys participating, and you're going to end up with some college units out of this thing. And contact me if you have any questions. The best way to get a hold of me, because I'm in this new office and there's no phone, would be to email me, as we're still getting things set up here in the auto shop. Before I stop the Zoom session and recording, does anybody else have any other questions
Yes,
that
excuse me, Mr. Ben. So everything good so far. Thank you very much for
yes,
the first
Nashwan.
Zoom. And if we have any questions that will be possible, we can email you. That will be
Yeah,
fine for
please
you
email them
to.
to me. I mean, if you're here on campus, you can always, stop me in the hall. I'm usually running around,
That
and
will
I
be
might
fun.
know the
I
answer
am.
or I might not.
Yeah, yeah. I can
But
see you
I'll figure
every
out what
day.
that answer is.
Yeah.
And
No, no. I can see you every day at
yeah,
the
we'll
day,
get you
but
taken
maybe
care of.
sometime during the night, whatever. So I mean, I can email you, and you can read the emails every day to answer or something. Might be
Very
something,
good.
right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
I'm unfortunately I'm glued to the email. I even had to buy a better phone so that I can
Yeah,
do
yeah. I
emails
mean,
more
if I
efficiently.
cannot see
So,
you, I will email
um,
you for any example,
perfect, Dash
any
one.
question, right?
Yeah, so if you need to get a hold of me, send me an email. Sometimes even if I bump into you in the hall here at campus, I'll say, "Hey, send me an email on that," because a
I
lot
will
of times
use email more
somebody will
than
call me
call
something and I'll
you.
forget about it. But if it's on my email, then I have like a record of a to-do list, if you will, of things to take.
Okay, okay. Perfect. Thank you very
Um,
much, Mr. Ben. Thank you very much.
all right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for being part of the work experience program for technical education, which is automotive and welding and collision, diesel, and we'll try to make it as painless as possible and get you some college units out of this thing. Okay. Again, email me if you have any questions, and if you haven't been over to the campus to see the new shop, you should certainly come by and check things out. So, all right.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, that's it for
Yeah,
tonight.
thank you.
I'll
Thank
see
you,
you.
Mr. French.
Professor.
Thank you.
All right,
Have a good
guys.
night.
See you
Professor,
next
for all
week.
you do.
All
I
right.
have a question.
Okay,
Hi,
go ahead.
Professor. I need a permission number before I send you email to time to get
Yeah,
a permission
so here's
number.
what I'll do. Give me a second here.
And me need permission now. Yeah, I say
Yeah.
I wait list.
Yep. Give
I'm
me
in
a
the
second
wait list.
here. I am trying to do, let's see. You guys can't see it on your screen, but I'm trying to move stuff on my screen so I can get to my Zoom controls. There it is. All right.